Nurse Christine Chapel has a blink-can-you-miss-it cameo in the 2009 Star Trek movie. Nurse Chapel was a fixture of Dr. Leonard McCoy's, DeForest Kelley, sickbay, often standing by to provide assistance or pieing after Leonard Nimoy's Spock, in 25 episodes of Star Trek, the original series. In Star Trek, the motion picture, Dr. Christine Chapel easily falls into her old role as McCoy's trusted nurse. The prequel Star Trek, Strange New Worlds improves Nurse Chapel, Jess Bush, making her a brilliant scientist with her own character arc. Director J.J. Abrams' Kelvin Timeline Star Trek movies reimagined classic Star Trek, the original series characters for a new chapter of cinematic Star Trek. Familiar names matched with new faces: Chris Pine as Captain James T. Kirk, Zachary Quinto as Spock, Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy, and Zoe Saldana as Nyota Uhura, now with a confirmed first name. Bruce Greenwood was there as Captain Christopher Pike, at the time a deep-cut reference to the USS Enterprise's pre-Kirk captain from Star Trek's original pilot. Nurse Chapel, on the other hand, didn't seem to be part of this new iteration of Star Trek. Carl Urban's McCoy calls for Nurse Chapel in Star Trek's 2009 movie. Nurse Chapel is serving on the USS Enterprise in the Kelvin timeline. In Star Trek 2009, Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy calls for Nurse Chapel to prepare a treatment for James T. Kirk, who's having a severe allergic reaction to the Melverin mud flea vaccine that McCoy gave Kirk. The vaccine's temporary symptoms let McCoy exploit a medical loophole that gets Cadet Kirk onto the USS Enterprise with other cadets during Starfleet's emergency mission to Vulcan. In sickbay, there are several female crew members who could be Nurse Chapel, including a woman that an ailing Kirk tries to flirt with, but none are actually confirmed to be McCoy's famous nurse. Star Trek's Kelvin timeline still sees the same USS Enterprise crew come together, even if some of them, like Kirk, have to force themselves into what the audience considers their rightful places. Commander Spock initially believes Lieutenant Nyota Uhura should be on the USS Farragut to avoid perceptions of favoritism, but Uhura confidently tells Spock in no uncertain terms that she belongs on Starfleet's flagship. He agrees. There's no reason that Nurse Christine Chapel shouldn't also be part of the USS Enterprise crew if everyone else is, and McCoy's call for Chapel confirms it. The Kelvin Timeline Star Trek movies made other references to Nurse Chapel, but she never appeared. Nurse Chapel dated Captain Kirk in the Kelvin Timeline. The Kelvin Timeline Star Trek movies made other references to Nurse Chapel, but she never appeared on screen. Between the events of Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, Chapel was romantically involved with Kirk and left the USS Enterprise. As a friend of Christine's, Dr. Carol Marcus, Alice Eve, brings Nurse Chapel up to Kirk during a conversation in Star Trek Into Darkness, only to find that Kirk doesn't remember Chapel. Since Nurse Chapel also decides to leave the Enterprise after a soured romantic relationship in the Prime Timeline, Chapel's Kelvin Timeline romance with Kirk and subsequent departure might be related. It's probably good that Nurse Chapel wasn't more than a drop name in the Kelvin Timeline movies. Before Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Christine Chapel was defined by her proximity to men, from McCoy and Spock to Chapel's Star Trek, the original series fiancé, Dr. Roger Corby, Michael Strong. Strange New Worlds keeps Christine's relationships intact and gives Chapel agency as a multifaceted character. If Star Trek IV ever gets made with Nurse Chapel's on-screen Kelvin Timeline debut. In the Star Trek universe, Chapel, portrayed by Majel Barrett in the original series, is a character who embodies dedication and compassion. Her role as the Enterprise's head nurse, alongside Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy, cemented her as a staple of the crew. While her absence from the 2009 reboot was notable, fans who know where to look can spot her influence and her brief on-screen appearance within the film's bustling Starfleet world. A hidden gem for keen-eyed fans. The 2009 Star Trek movie reboot shifts the narrative back to the early days of the Enterprise crew, chronicling their formation under Captain James T. Kirk. With a fast-paced storyline and visually stunning set pieces, the film introduces viewers to familiar faces in unfamiliar circumstances. Amid the chaos of the Enterprise's maiden voyage, there's a scene set in the medical bay where Nurse Chapel makes her subtle, blink-can-you-miss-it appearance. This moment occurs when Kirk, suffering from an allergic reaction to an unauthorized vaccine administered by Bones, stumbles into the Enterprise's sickbay. The sequence is chaotic, with Kirk bloated and struggling to communicate. Bones calls for assistance, and amidst the bustling staff, a blonde-haired nurse momentarily enters the frame, handing a piece of medical equipment to McCoy before hurrying out of sight. For die-hard Trekkies, the nurse's name badge, barely visible, confirms her identity, Chapel. Though no dialogue or further involvement is given to the character, her presence is a quiet nod to her legacy within Starfleet's medical ranks. While her screen time is mere seconds, the cameo pays homage to the indispensable role she played in the original series. Why Chapel's cameo matters. Chapel's inclusion in the 2009 reboot is significant, despite its brevity, for several reasons. First, it acknowledges the character's contributions to Star Trek history. While the reboot focuses primarily on the core ensemble, Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Uhura, Sulu, Scotty, and Chekhov, it doesn't forget the supporting characters who made the Enterprise function. By slipping Chapel into the background of the sickbay scene, the filmmakers ensured that fans of the original series know her presence hasn't been erased from this alternate timeline. Additionally, Chapel's cameo hints at a larger, untold story. In the original timeline, Christine Chapel joined Starfleet to search for her fiancé, Roger Corby, who had gone missing during a scientific expedition. Her journey into Starfleet medicine and her eventual position aboard the Enterprise was marked by moments of vulnerability, humor, and unshakable determination. The 2009 reboot presents an alternate timeline, but Chapel's brief appearance suggests she remains a vital part of Starfleet's history in this universe as well. The legacy of Majel Barrett. Another layer of meaning in Chapel's cameo stems from the legacy of Majel Barrett, the actress who originated the role. Barrett's contributions to Star Trek were vast. Beyond playing Chapel, she also appeared as Number 1 in the original Star Trek pilot and later as Lwaxana Troi in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Furthermore, she provided the voice of the Starfleet computer system in multiple Star Trek series. By including Chapel in the 2009 reboot, the filmmakers paid tribute to Barrett, who passed away shortly before the film's release. Her impact on the franchise cannot be overstated, and Chapel's cameo serves as a subtle yet heartfelt acknowledgement of her work. For fans who noticed the character's fleeting appearance, it was a reminder of Barrett's enduring presence within the Star Trek universe. Behind the scenes, how the cameo came to be.